The courtroom lights dimmed, cameras clicked, and in that one breathless second, Kandi Burruss changed everything. What started as a quiet testimony turned into a storm of gasps, whispers, and flashing lights. Because what she revealed about Tiny Harris' family wasn't just shocking, it was unforgivable. This, Kandi said, her voice steady but cold, is the truth they didn't want out. The room fell silent. Even the judge leaned forward. Because everyone knew, when Kandi speaks, she brings receipts, hidden recordings, private messages, and stories buried for years, all laid out in court like open wounds. Friendships shattered, loyalties burned, and as Tiny sat there, eyes wide with disbelief, it became clear. This wasn't just about betrayal. This was personal. But the real question isn't what Kandi revealed, it's why she did it. Was it justice or revenge? Because once these secrets hit the internet, nothing, not fame, not family, not forgiveness will ever be the same again. And trust me, what happened inside that courtroom is only the beginning. The courtroom was heavy with tension, the kind that you could almost taste in the air. Cameras lined the back wall, reporters whispered into phones, and the hum of anticipation filled every corner. Then, without warning, the double doors creaked open, and Kandi Burruss walked in. Her face was unreadable, her eyes sharp and cold, carrying the kind of calm that only comes when someone has already made up their mind to burn everything down. Every head turned. Tiny Harris shifted in her seat, her hands clenched tightly in her lap, her nails digging into her palms. She wasn't ready for this. No one was. Kandi took the stand like a storm disguised in silk. She didn't speak at first. She just looked at Tiny, then at the judge, and finally at the row of reporters waiting for the next headline. When she finally opened her mouth, her voice was steady to steady. "Your Honor," she began, "I was asked to share something today that I've kept to myself for a long time. It's about the Harris family." The words hung in the air like smoke. You could hear the sound of pens scratching on notepads, camera shutters clicking, breaths being held. Tiny's lawyer immediately objected, his voice trembling slightly as he tried to sound composed. "Your Honor, this is a personal matter, irrelevant to the case." But Kandi didn't wait for permission. She reached into her bag and placed a small flash drive on the evidence table. "This," she said, "is proof." The judge frowned but motioned for the clerk to play it. And that's when the chaos began. The speakers crackled to life. First, static. Then, a voice low, familiar, careful. It was Tiny's husband, Clifford T. Harris. He was speaking to someone in a tone that was half whisper, half command. "They don't need to know everything," he said. "Not yet. We handle it quietly." Another voice answered, a woman, not Tiny. "You think Kandi's gonna keep her mouth shut?" T paused. "She will. She's got as much to lose as I do." The courtroom erupted in gasps. Tiny froze, her eyes darting toward T, who sat still, expression blank, like a man trying to hold himself together with invisible thread. Kandi didn't look at him. She didn't need to. The look on Tiny's face said enough. There were tears she didn't want to shed, anger she didn't want to show. The judge slammed his gavel, calling for order, but the damage was already done. The truth or something like it had been unleashed. As the murmurs swelled, Kandi spoke again, her tone quiet but cutting through the noise. "I didn't want to do this," she said, "but I've been protecting people who would never do the same for me." Her eyes flicked toward Tiny. "And I'm done staying quiet." Outside the courtroom, social media was already exploding. Headlines spread like wildfire. Kandi Burruss drops bombshell in court, exposes Harris family secrets. Clips of the courtroom leaked online within minutes, showing Tiny breaking down and Kandi staring ahead like she'd already accepted the fallout. Comment sections turned into battlefields. Some called Kandi brave, others called her a traitor. But everyone agreed on one thing. This was bigger than anyone expected. Inside, Tiny couldn't move. Every word replayed in her mind, every sound biting deeper. She remembered late nights, whispered arguments, the feeling of being half loved, half lied to. She'd always believed that loyalty would protect her, that no matter what happened between them, Kandi would never cross that line. But here she was, watching her oldest friend turn her pain into evidence. When the recess was called, Tiny stood up slowly, like someone carrying invisible weight. T didn't look at her. He just whispered something to his lawyer and walked out. Cameras followed him down the hall, flashes reflecting off his glasses. "Do you have a comment?" Someone shouted. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. His silence said everything. Kandi left the courtroom moments later, surrounded by her team. Reporters swarmed her, microphones pushed toward her face. "Kandi, was this revenge?" one asked. "Why now?" another demanded. She didn't stop walking. Her voice was low, almost tired, when she finally spoke. "Sometimes the truth doesn't wait for the right time. It just shows up when you can't hide anymore." Tiny watched from a distance, her hands trembling as she gripped the courtroom bench. Her world, once private and controlled, had just been ripped open for millions to dissect. The faces around her blurred. The sounds turned hollow. All she could hear was that voice on the recording. His voice, her husband's voice, saying her best friend's name. Somewhere in the back of the courtroom, someone whispered, "There's more." Tiny turned. The voice came from a reporter holding a phone, eyes wide. "They say there's another tape." Tiny's stomach dropped. Another tape? Of what? Of who? She felt her pulse quicken. For years, she'd been fighting rumors, shutting down stories, defending her family's name. But this time, the lies and the truth looked the same. Both ugly, both unstoppable. And Kandi, calm, composed, unflinching, was no longer the friend who kept her secrets. She was the woman who held the world's attention, one flash drive at a time. Outside, the crowd was chanting, the headlines multiplying. And somewhere deep inside the courthouse, a truth bigger than betrayal was waiting to be uncovered. The question wasn't what Kandi revealed anymore. It was who gave her the power to do it. By the time the courtroom doors closed again, the story had already spread across every screen in America. News anchors were dissecting every second of the leaked clip. Talk shows were debating motives, and Twitter had turned into a war zone. Hashtags like #Kandi exposes Tiny and #family betrayal were trending worldwide. Yet inside those four walls, the people at the center of it all sat in silence. Tiny's lawyer whispered urgently to her, trying to calm her down, but her mind wasn't listening. Every word from that recording echoed like thunder. She wasn't sure what hurt more, the fact that Kandi had shared it, or that her husband had said it. Kandi sat at the witness stand again, eyes forward, expression unreadable. The judge returned, visibly frustrated by the circus outside. "Mrs. Burruss," he said sternly, "do you understand the gravity of what you've introduced?" She nodded once, calm and composed. "Yes, Your Honor," she replied, "but I also understand the danger of staying silent." Her voice didn't waver, not once. It was that same quiet strength that made her loved by millions and feared by the people who underestimated her. The defense attorney stood. His tone was sharp, like a blade wrapped in politeness. "Mrs. Burruss, can you confirm where this recording came from?" Kandi hesitated for a fraction of a second, just long enough for everyone to notice. "It was sent to me anonymously," she said. A murmur spread through the courtroom. Anonymous. That single word changed everything. The lawyer pressed on. "So, you admit you don't know the source? You can't prove it's authentic?" Kandi exhaled slowly. "I know that voice," she said softly. "I know what I heard." The courtroom buzzed again, reporters typing furiously, cameras snapping pictures of her face. She wasn't backing down. If anything, her confidence seemed to grow the more they challenged her. Tiny looked away, blinking fast to keep the tears from falling. She didn't want to cry, not here, not in front of the world. She wanted answers. How did Kandi get that call? Who sent it? And why did it sound like the one thing she feared most, proof that her husband had been lying to her again? The judge called for a brief recess, but no one moved. The air was too thick, the tension too sharp. Tiny finally stood, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. Every camera turned. She ignored them all and walked straight toward Kandi. Security stepped forward, but Tiny raised her hand. "I'm not here to fight," she said quietly, though her voice trembled. Kandi didn't move, didn't even blink. Tiny stopped a few feet away. "Why would you do this?" she asked. "You know what this means for me, for my family." Kandi's jaw tightened. "You think I wanted this?" She shot back, just loud enough for the microphones to catch. "You think I asked for someone to send me that file? I was protecting myself, Tiny. I was trying to survive what they started." Tiny's eyes widened. "They?" she repeated. "Who's they? Kandi?" But before Kandi could answer, the judge ordered both women back to their seats. Outside the courthouse, chaos was unfolding. Fans were camping outside the steps, holding up signs, yelling at the news cameras. Some shouted, "We love you, Kandi," while others screamed, "Justice for Tiny." It was a circus, and no one knew who to believe anymore. In a world where every scandal turns into content, the truth had become just another version of the story. By late afternoon, new leaks surfaced: screenshots of text messages, blurred photos, half-baked theories about hidden money and secret deals. Every outlet claimed to have exclusive evidence. But one message, posted by an anonymous account, hit differently. It said, "The real truth drops tonight. Watch the footage. She's not innocent." Attached was a 10-second teaser security footage of Kandi meeting someone in a parking garage, late at night. The clip cut off just as she handed over a small envelope. Tiny saw it on her phone while sitting in her car outside the courthouse. Her heart pounded as she replayed it again and again. "This can't be real," she whispered. Her publicist, sitting next to her, tried to calm her. "It could be edited," she said. "Deep fake. AI people can fake anything now." But Tiny wasn't listening. Because deep down, she knew that parking lot. And she remembered the night Kandi had called her, voice shaky, saying she needed to handle something privately. Across town, Kandi's phone was blowing up. Her team was panicking. "We need a statement now," her manager insisted. "If we don't say something, they'll bury you with this." But Kandi just stared at the screen. The thumbnail of that video stared back at her like a reflection she didn't recognize. "They're already burying me," she said. "No statement will change that." She turned her phone face down and walked away, leaving her team speechless. Meanwhile, T had gone quiet to quiet. No posts, no interviews, no comments. But sources whispered that he was preparing a response of his own. Some said he was gathering proof that Kandi had staged the entire thing. Others claimed he was working with a private investigator to track the leaks. Either way, everyone knew what was coming next. Another explosion. By evening, Atlanta was alive with rumor and speculation. Every radio station was playing clips from the courtroom. Every gossip site had a new theory. And every fan was picking sides in a story no one could fully understand. Tiny sat in her living room that night, staring at her reflection in the dark window. Her phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. "He told her to play it," it read. But she added something. Her breath caught. Added something? To the recording? What did that even mean? She pressed call on Kandi's number, but it went straight to voicemail. "Kandi, it's me," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I need to know the truth. Please, just tell me it wasn't you." She hung up, but the silence on the other end felt heavier than any answer she could have received. Outside, thunder rolled through the city as the rain began to fall. The storm was only getting started and everyone knew it. Night fell over Atlanta like a curtain. But the noise didn't stop. The scandal had taken on a life of its own. Beyond the courtroom, beyond Kandi, Tiny or T, every podcast, gossip page, and late-night stream was dissecting the clips, the messages, the supposed truth. But the truth had become a ghost. Everyone claimed to have it. Yet no one really did. Tiny hadn't slept. The anonymous message kept replaying in her mind. He told her to play it, but she added something. What did that mean? She sat in her dim living room, the TV flickering with a news segment replaying Kandi's testimony. Her lawyer had begged her to stay offline, to avoid reacting. But Tiny couldn't help herself. She scrolled through post after post, every comment cutting deeper than the last. Tiny's acting again. She's lying for T. Kandi's the only honest one here. Her thumb hovered over a video thumbnail, the leaked parking garage footage. The one showing Kandi meeting a man, handing him something. Tiny's heart pounded as she pressed play again. The clip froze midway, but this time she noticed something she hadn't before. On the man's wrist, a gold watch engraved with initials CAH, Clifford Harris. She dropped her phone. The screen cracked on impact, but she didn't care. If that watch was real, then Kandi hadn't met a stranger that night. She'd met T across town. Kandi was pacing in her studio. She hadn't gone home since the second leak dropped. The walls were plastered with soundproof foam, but even here, the noise of the outside world seeped in: rumors, threats, interviews, and think pieces about her supposed betrayal. Her lawyer's voice echoed from the phone on the table. "We can deny it. Say it was edited. Say you were blackmailed." Kandi stared at her reflection in the dark studio glass. "It wasn't edited," she said finally. "And I wasn't blackmailed." "Then what are you saying, Kandi?" the lawyer asked. "I'm saying," she whispered, "they're only seeing half the story." her phone buzzed again, an unknown number. Another message, just 3 words. Phase 3 begins. She stared at it, her stomach twisting. For weeks now, she'd been getting cryptic messages like this, always from untraceable numbers, always disappearing seconds after she read them. Whoever was behind this was still watching, still pulling the strings. Meanwhile, T sat in his private office, his phone lighting up with missed calls and notifications. His publicist had been calling all day, but he wasn't ready to speak. The world thought he'd gone into hiding. In reality, he was preparing his counterattack. On his desk was a laptop, open to a video editing timeline. On the screen, the same courtroom recording that had destroyed everything. But this version looked different. He zoomed in on a waveform, slowed it down, and hit play. "I told you, don't say nothin' yet," his voice echoed. Then silence. Then the woman's voice, supposedly not Tiny's. But when he played the untouched file, there was a faint glitch, a distortion in the background, almost like 2 clips spliced together. He leaned back slowly, realization dawning. Someone had altered the recording. He reached for his phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. "It's me," he said when the line picked up. "I need that file." The voice on the other end was cold. "You sure you want to open that door again?" "I already did," T said. "Now I need to finish it by midnight." Another video dropped anonymously, of course. This one wasn't courtroom footage or an old clip. It was a grainy security recording from outside the courthouse earlier that week. It showed Kandi getting into a car and someone else already sitting in the back seat. Tiny. The video had no sound, just a timestamp and their faces frozen in tension. The caption beneath it read, "They met before the hearing. The deal was made." The internet went wild. Every reaction channel, every gossip page posted theories. Were Kandi and Tiny working together all along? Did they plan the leak to frame T? No one's innocent in this. Tiny's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Her lawyer begged her to stay quiet, but she couldn't. She called Kandi again, and this time, Kandi answered. There was a long silence before either of them spoke. "You knew about the video?" Tiny asked, voice low and shaking. "I didn't post it," Kandi said. "But you knew." "I tried to warn you," Kandi replied. "You just wouldn't listen." "Warn me about what?" Tiny demanded. Kandi hesitated. "This wasn't about us. It never was." Before Tiny could respond, the line went dead. Outside, the rain poured harder, lightning flashing across the skyline. Somewhere, in a dimly lit room filled with monitors, a figure leaned back in a chair, watching the chaos unfold across dozens of screens. "They're doing exactly what we wanted," the voice said softly. "Now let's see who breaks first." And as the feeds of Kandi, Tiny, and T blinked across the monitors, the figure smiled. Because the truth was never the goal. The goal was control. And by the time anyone realized it, it would already be too late. So now you've seen it all, the courtroom chaos, the leaks, the whispers, and the lies. But the real question is, do you believe what you just saw? Because in a story this twisted, truth isn't always what it looks like. One video can make a villain out of a victim, and one headline can destroy an entire life. Kandi Burruss says she was protecting herself. Tiny Harris says she was blindsided. And T, he says nothing at all. But silence can be its own kind of confession. Maybe this wasn't about friendship or betrayal. Maybe it was about something bigger. Power, money, manipulation. Because behind every exclusive leak and shocking revelation, someone's getting paid. Someone's writing the script. And someone's pulling the strings. So what do you think really happened? Was Kandi a whistleblower or a mastermind? Did Tiny know more than she let on? Or was this entire thing engineered to keep us watching while the real truth stayed buried? Drop your theories in the comments below. I want to hear every wild guess, every clue you've spotted, every piece you think connects the puzzle. And if you've made it this far, you already know this story isn't over. Another leak could drop tonight. Another recording, another twist, another betrayal. So hit that like button if you're ready for the next chapter. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And turn on notifications because when the truth finally comes out, it won't wait for you to catch up. Stay curious. Stay skeptical. And remember, in a world full of fake news and real drama, sometimes the biggest secrets are the ones hiding in plain sight. This is far from over.